Hey guys, welcome to Xplore360 YouTube channel. In this video, we're going to learn about basics of output in Python. So whenever we create a script in Python and we have to take input from user or we have to provide output to the user, that input and output will be performed over console. Now what is this console is? It is a screen dedicated for interaction with user. Okay, by default when it is not a GUI based, it is the dedicated screen for the user. Okay, let's understand this way. I am running this blank script. Okay, there is no line here either for input or for output, but still I can see the console here. Press enter to exit the console. This area from in which output will be displayed, from which input will be taken, this is the console area. So when we are dealing with input and output, basically we are dealing with console. So let's understand in this way. I'm writing something over here, system.stdout. So this file provides us the direct access to the console. Okay, this system module and a file inside it is stdout. It provides us direct access to the console. Okay, which means if I write anything this file contains is the thing which is written over the console or which is displayed on the console. So if I have to provide the output to the user, that is equivalent to writing in this file. If I write in this file, that means I am writing over the console, I am printing something. So when I have to give output to the user, I have to write something over this system.stdout, which is the console file. Let's do this. Import sys. I am importing system module. Then in system module there is a file stdout.write. I am writing something over this. I am writing my name, suppose my name. So this will work the same way as output works. I can see my way printed on the console. Okay, so this is the way to provide output in Python, but basically you all know that this is not the way we do that. We just type this, we use some function named print, and this is working the same way. Okay, these both functionalities which I displayed over here are equivalent, slightly different, but are equivalent to some extent. But then why we use this print when we can use this stdout? It's much more clear. It shows the working. Why we need print, why print was made, why this print function was made. Let's understand that also. Okay, there are many reasons for that. So it's a utility. It made our work much easier. When I try to write here a number on the console, it won't work. It will give an error that write argument must be str not int, which means if I have to write something on this file, I can only write string in this file. I cannot write any object or any instance or any data other than string. That needs to be string. You can say that we can convert it into string. That's the lengthy way. That's why print was made, and much more. There is no extent. It provides many other functionality. We will discuss that later in this video only. So let's see what print is doing for us, what it is doing for us, how it is making our work easier. So this is print. It says I am print. I will make your work easier. You pass me any object. You pass me instance of any object, I will just print it over the console. You pass me a number, I will do that. You pass me a float number, not an integer, you pass me simply float number. You pass me list, you pass me a dictionary. Okay, you pass me dictionary, or you pass me instance or object of any class belonging to any class, instance or object. And obviously str will work the same way. Str is the easiest one to display. Str is the easiest one. You pass me instance or object belonging to any class, I will print that for you. I am always available for that. So what it does is it takes that instance, that instance. This is the instance. As you know, in Python everything is treated as object or instance. Every data is treated as object or instance. Okay, That is what makes it a object oriented language to some extent. Not, it is not completely object oriented. It is not, neither is Java. Okay, so it takes this instance, it convert it into instance of string class, and how it is doing that, that also we will discuss. It is converting into an instance of str class. Okay, for this let's discuss it right now, right here. For this it is using a predefined function which is contained in pretty much every class. This is def underscore underscore str. This is the function which is responsible for doing that. I will demonstrate that also. Then it is writing it into a file which is system.std out. We have seen demonstration of that. Okay, so let us say n is a number 1 2, and its instance can be taken in two ways. Let's try it with the functions we discussed. Str, that is the function which is changing it into string. Okay, I will mention it here only. Change to string, instance of string. Print. I am printing type. What is type? Type displays, it displays simply the class to which that instance belongs, or the data type. You can say that in a layman's language, you can say that data type. But moreover, it, as everything is an instance and an instance must belong to a class, so it just displays the class to which that instance belongs. In case of n, let us say in layman language, n is an integer, so it should be of type integer. Okay, so it must belong to class int. Okay, a. Now let's check a. It is a. So here you can see n is an integer, but a is converted to string. Let's print a. It should print 12. So this is the function which print uses, def str. Okay. Okay. Here we can see 12. Now what I'm doing is I am writing the file I'm mentioning. By default, it is also system.std out, but we can also change the file. Import says by default the file is, as we discussed, system.std out. This is the console file. This will also work the same. No need to mention the file. When we are printing it in console. By default, here we can see it is mentioned system.std.out. This is the parameter. This is not a necessary parameter. You can change if you want to change it, then you have to pass it. By default, it is system.std out. And if you want, suppose you want to add something in a different file other than this console file, then you can change it. Okay, we can ignore this. This will also work the same way. Now let's discuss about functionalities, or you can say parameters of print. There is one more interesting parameter. Let's discuss first why it is needed. Okay, we can remove this import sys from here as we have any further use of that. Let's print some numbers. Print 1, print 2, say print 5. So how this is working? 1 2 5. Okay, I want these numbers to be presented in a single line. Is it possible? What is happening here is, you can see that I am getting 1 in a line, 2 in different line, 5 in different line. I want 1 2 5 or 1 space 2 space 5. So let's understand it in this way. This is what the compiler is adding, or the interpreter is adding. In this case, the interpreter is adding \n by default. Okay, what Python print function is doing, it is adding \n by default. Let's understand this. Print 1. So what it is doing, at the end it is adding \n, which is forcing the cursor to move to next line for the next print. 1 2 then 5. I want this n to be nothing or to be space. I want 1 space 2 space 5. Then simply I can change this end parameter. then simply what I can do is I can change this end parameter. Here what is happening is backslash n is here, backslash n is here. Okay, I want to change that. So what can I do is I can modify this end equals to space, or you can also pass an empty, pass it as an empty, and with 5 it is not required. Now I have 1 to 5. As you can see, I have 1 to 5. Okay, so this is also an interesting parameter, or you can say functionality end. Okay, there is one more similar to this. There is one more similar to this. Hopefully end is clear to you. There is one more similar to this, which is separator, or you can say SEP, same color. Okay, what it does is, suppose I have a iterable, or you can say I have some multiple values in print. Print a, b, c, not necessary variables, a, b, c, and I printed that. What print statement by default, or what Python do by default is, as you can see that in case of end, let's discuss end in brief. In case of end, what it was doing is, by default it was passing backslash n after every end. In this case, by default it will provide spaces, a space, b space, c. This space is by default added. We are not manually adding it. By default we are getting backslash, sorry, not backslash n, really sorry, these spaces. We are getting these spaces by default. Okay, I want commas instead of these spaces, so I will override the value of separator with comma. Let's see this way. Print, okay, let's try to print this. We'll get spaces by default. Okay, as you can see, we are getting spaces here. I want commas instead of spaces, so what I will do is I will type comma space separator equals to comma. Now I will get 1 comma 2 comma 3 comma 4 comma 5. You can see that 1 comma 2 comma 3 comma 4 comma 5. Okay, let's understand some different uses of print statements, or some complex uses. Suppose I want to print a complex statement, that is, I bought x apples, x is a variable, x apples for d rupees. Okay, for y rupees, you can say for y rupees, x, y. These are two variables. I bought x apples for y rupees. Let's declare x equals to 5 and change that, y equals to 100. I bought 5 apples for 100 rupees. Okay. Then way to print this is, I bought comma x, which will be separated by space, as we discussed, x apples let's try to print this. I bought 5 apples for 100 rupees, and if I don't want spaces between them, separator is equals to empty, then there will be no spaces between the different values. Okay, next is, let's try some different methods here. Let's try something new, which is f string. Okay, so let's convert it into an f string. Simply type f. Now I can mention the variables directly inside this string. I bought, suppose, x apples, but keep that in mind that you have to put this variables inside the curly braces for y, directly mentioning the name of the variables. Okay, let's try to run this. This will work the same way. Okay, this was f string. Now let's use the C method that was used in C language, which is %d and %d. Instead of comma, we have %x, y. When we have to mention multiple values, we mention them inside this brackets, which is tuple. Okay, let's try to run this. It will work fine. Okay, now I want some floor values. Okay, now suppose I bought it for 100. I bought it for 101.5 rupees. So I changed it into backslash. So I bought it for 5145. Then I want to round off that figure up to 2 decimal places. So I will do 0.2. Okay, that will work. 51. Okay, and it is rounding off to check that 516. It will become 52. You can see that 101.52. So this was basic output in Python language. Thank you so much.